매번 야야야야야 불러 널 야야야야 내 맘을 고백하려고 타이밍만 보는 나 그런 나를 넌 보며 왜 그러냐고 묻네 너 때문에.
You were roaming around in the mall, searching for all the necessary groceries for a month and putting everything in the cart. You grabbed a bar of chocolate and turned to put it in the cart when you noticed something. You was looking at your sister who was following you behind like a tail and trying to sneakily put things which she needed. Keyword trying. She shook her head dramatically, trying to be as natural as possible, but you grabbed her ears and twisted it, making her hiss. You left her ears, which by now were turned red, and she was rubbing while pouting. You giggled looking at her face, but then you suddenly stopped when her eyes widened looking behind you. You tried to turn around and look at what she was looking to give such an expression, but she held your shoulders and stopped you from turning round. Before you even turned around, you felt someone patting your shoulder and slowly turned to find the person whom you were not expecting at all. Looking at the person who bowed at instantly. Your sister gasped looking at you, and the person who was behind you was now awkwardly smiling looking at you and your sister. After telling you so, he looked at his sister and smiled while waving towards her. You looked at her and found her totally lost in him and kinda admiring. You pinched her arm and she jumped a little, coming out of her trance. She looked at Jungkook and furiously waved at him while showing all her teeth, which made Jungkook chuckle. You eyed her while glaring and gritting your teeth and forcing a smile on her direction. But she seemed to be in her senses. But she gasped dramatically while saying, You instantly slapped your hand on her mouth before she spills all the beans. You looked at Jungkook and found him chuckling awkwardly while scratching his head. You glared at your sister and she finally got some cue and needed to zip her mouth and got out of your clutches. She slid towards Jungkook and stood behind him while slowly murmuring. Jungkook chuckled and his hand already moved towards her head. When Misha thought that she was going to get hit, he patted her head and said, You glared at your sister and she made a peace sign with her hands and moved along with Jungkook while talking to him, while you stood at your place, not believing the scene unfolding in front of you. Jungkook looked at Misha and giggled. He knew about you and your family, and also the kind of personality you had was reflecting in Misha's as well. Both Jungkook and Misha turned to look at you, and you were really looking like you were smiling at something. Jungkook nodded his head, and Misha moved towards you. Jungkook shook his head and took your one hand in his while moving your cart along with his. He looked at your hands and then at Jungkook.